Hello everybody, good morning and welcome to That's Football. I'm Mark Goldbridge and Man City face Judgement Day. They will finally get their day in court for what they have done in relation to 115 charges. The Premier League have spoken about this yesterday in relation to the Everton charges and the Nottingham Forest charges, and they've said, we can understand the frustration, but these are very different charges. If any club, current champions or otherwise, were found in breach of the spending rules in 22-23, they'd be in the same position as Everton or Nottingham Forest. But the volume and character of the charges laid against Man City, which I obviously cannot talk about at all, are being heard in a completely different environment. There is a date set for that proceeding. I can't tell you when that is, but it is progressing. And I suppose this generates the absolutely ridiculous situation whereby, if you're not aware, Nottingham Forest and Everton are facing charges for the 22-23 season. Let me just list the charges, the seasons that Man City are facing. 10-11, 2011-12, 2012-13, 2013-14, 2014-15, 2015-16, 2016-17, 2017-18. That's 8 years in a row of financial fair play charges that they face. And you can, look, I've said it before, you can totally understand how this has happened. And can I just say, please do check out Goldbridge Saves Football. I should have said that at the start. Fantastic podcast this week. I had to apologise about my opinion on Ten Hag, so check that out. Please do. Links in the video description as always. But with regards to what we're talking about here, what we've got here is a huge array of 115 charges against Man City. And one of the big questions that gets asked is, of the 115 charges that Man City have got, are any of them worse or as severe of what Everton have been charged with? Oh yeah. Definitely yeah. And the fact that they're multiple makes it even worse. It's like saying Everton stole a loaf of bread. What are 115 things that Man City have done? Well, they've done more than stole they're being accused of more than stealing a loaf of bread, and they've done it more times. So who's worse? Everton, who steals a loaf of bread once, or Man City, who do more than that time and time and time again? So the ramifications and punishments of that, if Everton are getting a 10-point deduction, are absolutely massive. And I think people get lost here and they go, it's not fair. It's not fair. I'd much rather be Everton. Because it will take time, the Man City case, because of how much they've done. And they need to, they can spend all the money they like on legal defence, but the Premier League are going to look stupid if they charge somebody with 115 things and miss on all of them. I mean, you've got 115 chances to hit the target. If they miss the target on all of that, then we may as well all pack up and go home. I wouldn't want to be in Man City's position. They think they might get away with it. Maybe they will. I think a lot of fans think they'll get away with it. But it would be very embarrassing for the Premier League. And the reason it's taking so long is because there's so much of it. And they can keep winning on the pitch and they can keep winning trebles, but it will mean nothing if they get done for some of the stuff they've got done. It's just going to be a patience game. And Man City can keep kicking it down the road and they can get lawyers involved and it can take all the time it gets. But we will get that judgment day. We will get it. Now, what that judgment will be, I don't know. And I understand the impatience. I think it's a joke. And I think the Premier League knows it's a joke. But Everton and Nottingham Forest have done things that are very easy to identify recently, 22-23. This Man City case is going on. And why are Man City not getting done anymore? People are saying, well, surely they're still doing it. Of course they're not doing it. They've had 8, 9, 10 years to do it, and then they've reaped the benefits, so they're now a football club that doesn't need it. Man City legitimately now have revenue streams and a team that is compliant with financial fair play in the modern game. Man City are probably the most compliant team and successful team under current financial fair play rules because they've got those revenue streams that they've potentially manipulated over 10 years. That's set in stone now. They're winning things, which brings in revenue. They've got sponsorship deals that are legitimate because they're successful. The Man City model is never going to get caught out by the current financial fair play things because they've had 10 years where they manipulated it to get to this point. So they've put it's what they've done in the past. But this judgment day will happen. When do we think it will happen and why the Premier League won't announce when? is because it's not going to happen next month. I think it's set to happen in the autumn, isn't it? Many people think it's going to happen like September, October, November time this year. But it will happen, and I think that patience is going to be important, because when it comes to court cases like this, people say, well, the Premier League needs to just crack on with giving them charges and deductions and relegations. But actually, I'm quite comfortable with the patient side of it, because you want the Premier League to get this case watertight. Because if they get anything wrong, they might not get another bite at the cherry. So look, the frustration for Everton, and look, I think there was a positive for Everton. Everton fans are the victim, Nottingham Forest fans are the victim, but let's not pretend. I was listening to the radio yesterday, and there was a Forest podcaster on, and he said, look, it's not that we think we haven't done anything wrong. I think most Forest fans know we've done something wrong, and I think most Everton fans know they've done something wrong. It's just the frustration at how their club has been run, and the injustice of that, which is completely and utterly understandable. But in Everton's case, that 10-point deduction they've got, it's the perfect season to get it. You're not going to get relegated. If you get another 10 points, you might be in trouble. But I'm interested to see what people think on this, because we do need financial fair play to have teeth, but we will not see the full benefits of that teeth until the biggest offender is dealt with. So I think at the moment there are so many frustrations around Everton being held up as the offender, and Nottingham Forest being held up as the offender, when we all know there's this big, offender, well, accused offender. And until that Man City case gets done, then I don't think there's any credibility to financial fair play having teeth in the Premier League. And that's the problem that the Premier League have got. That they have to start somewhere, and they are starting somewhere. But every time they hand out a charge to another Premier League club, everybody quite rightly says, but look at Man City. Look at the years. You're giving out punishment to Manchester, to Nottingham Forest and Everton for 22-23 season. But you've got a club with 115 charges across 8, 9, 10 seasons. It's a bit hard to swallow for any football fan to go, yay, they've got teeth, and then there's this massive offender there. But Judgment Day's coming. What the outcome of that will be, I don't know, but I'd rather it take another year to actually get them done for it than to rush it and miss the target. And I think that's the big thing as far as I'm concerned. But it's moving, and I think it's ridiculous how many years it's taken. We would all agree on that. But the punishment is something that I was speaking to somebody last week about, and they're quite clued up on like the legal side of the Premier League, and they were saying, well, look, Everton have had a 10-point deduction, and it's very open what happened there, and Everton might appeal it, whatever, but the reality is they got a 10-point deduction, and that's the Premier League setting in stone what they want to give for that type of an offence. If Everton are getting a 10-point deduction for what they did there, and Man City get done for even half of what they've been accused of, relegation by at least 2 divisions would be tame. So look, that's just conjecture, that's just opinion, but if Man City get done for half of what they've done, the expectation is that they'd get relegated by 2 leagues. And remember, it's not unprecedented. Rangers got sent to the bottom of the Scottish pyramid not that long ago. So Man City, look, the punishments should be massive, but they'd be appealed. Of course they would. But look at the Everton situation. Look at the Nottingham Forest situation. Whoever got relegated last year will be looking at that and going, so if Forest spent more money than they should have done last year and they stayed up just, if they hadn't done that, would they have gone down? And we would have stayed up. So these things need to move quicker, and that's why the rules need to be clearer. But as I've said, until we get this Man City case dealt with one way or another, and we have to accept that there is potential that Man City get away with all of it, or not get away with it, get found not guilty of all of it. But the sooner that's done, the better, because I think either way, whatever the outcome with Man City, nobody will ever really respect or take on board what financial fair play is until we move past that big elephant in the room. Get your comments in below. Let me know what you think. And also, don't forget to check out the podcast. It's brilliant this week. A little bit more on the financial fair play stuff. Some brilliant either-ors. Some amazing Pratt of the Weeks, including the PGMOL, Troy Deeney, Match of the Day, Danjuma. Wow, that story is just incredible. Check it out on the podcast. Links in the description, or just go Spotify Goldbridge Saves Football. I'll speak to you all in a bit. Thanks for listening and watching and listening.